Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio. So every third Thursday, we love to chat with Lea Brovedani. She is the trust architect. She's a speaker, a workshop facilitator on trust, and she is recognized as a top thought leader when it comes to trust. And that is all recognition from the organization Trust Across America. She's also an author of numerous books, including the latest one being Trust Me, Restore Belief and Confidence in an Uncertain World. Definitely a book we all need to read. And the other one is Trusted, Secret Lessons from an Inspired Leader. So you can keep up with her at thetrustarchitect.biz. And today she is back on the show to talk to us about commitment, relationships, trust, all that juicy goodness. And welcome back, Lea. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As you know, I just got back from Guatemala City. I was on a humanitarian mission there, which was amazing. Absolutely
Awesome.
fell in love with the people in the country and everything we did. It was really good.
That's awesome. And, I saw that you were building, trust in like little kids, like they're like checking you out, like, who are you? Should I trust you? Do I talk to you? So that when we talk about relationships, you had to kind of build trust with them all, right? To be able to actually help them, you had to build trust.
Yeah, and it was really easy to fall in love with them too. The one thing that was just a bonus is that at 5'4", I've never been this tall, willowy person that I've wanted to be. And in Guatemala, I might not be willowy, but compared to the Guatemalan women, I was really tall. Like they came up to my chin. All of them were 5 feet and under.
Oh, wow. So it's hard to actually get that communication, to look at each other without looking down on someone in a way, right?
Well, it is and it isn't, because there's just, it was really interesting. I'm thinking of particular people as you say that, and it was just how welcoming they were, inviting us into their homes and showing off and sharing what they had. I mean, these are adobe mud huts with mud floors. Yeah. And, they had kind of a pen off to the side with chickens and roosters off to the side where they got their eggs and obviously their chickens, and a vegetable garden in the back. And they butchered one of their chickens and made soup for us one day. Well, there's absolutely no way you don't just say thank you and appreciate it and have the soup. They were just generous and wonderful and warm. And when we left, everyone, including the kids, came and hugged us.
Oh,
yeah.
See, it's special work. And, that's the thing, living in Africa, and actually anywhere you travel in the world, it's not about how much you have, it's what you have and what you can share. And I often find that, people that are living more on the poverty level actually give more sometimes. It's just kind of an interesting thing about that. Yeah. It's like, here, I'm going to share what I have. And it's like, oh, wait, but it's sweet. And I think it brings us back to where we're supposed to be as humans and sharing. And that's where trust comes into me, is like, do you trust someone to share, like to share with them? So I love your 5 tenets of trust, and one of them is commitment. So I really wanted to focus on that. But does sharing build towards commitment and towards trust?
It feels like definitely a yes, because when you're sharing something with someone, you're making that commitment to give them something. It works if there's not an expected payment in return.
Exactly.
So if I'm doing something nice for you just to build up those credits because I want something out of you, then no, I would say no.
Caca. That sucks.
But yeah, and like, haven't you had people who have done that? You're kind of going, why are you being?
I don't want to go down that road, because then I'll just rant for the rest of the conversation.
Okay. So it comes up pretty strongly. But if you meet somebody, like I've met people, and they just go, they do something for you, and It's like, oh no, it's no big deal, just enjoy.
Yeah.
And
It's like,
with this
wow.
family, yeah, you know, there was one of the girls who had gone to the hut, and she loved Coca-Cola, so she had bought a nice cold bottle of Coca-Cola, and she was sipping it when she was working. Well, the next day they had their son run to the local little store and get an ice cold bottle of Coke, so that when we came, they poured us all a glass. And it just
Oh,
brings tears to my eyes, because I know how expensive that was for them.
yeah.
And there's absolutely no way you would refuse. I mean, you almost want to go,
Right.
no, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, yeah.
You just say thank you, and you know that there's nothing expected in return.
Mm. That I think that's something really special, to have that. It's like finding $20 in your back pocket in the laundry. You know what I mean?
Isn't
There's
that the
even
best?
it is, because it's something like ooh, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with it, but there's a special little, I can do something fun with it, and it makes you
Free
feel
money.
special. Yeah, it's free money. It's like, ooh, maybe I'll run to casino and double it no, or lose it, but
Yeah.
it's more like it. But yeah, that's really part of it. And so when we think about relationships, and there's romance, of course, we're in the month of February, but even still, I mean, romance shouldn't just be 1 month.
Yeah.
But friendship, we've got professional relationships. The word commitment can be really scary, but you don't just you just can't go, okay, I'm committed to you, or there's got to be the levels that build up, right? Trust has to come
Yeah.
before. It's kind of, they hold hands like hand in hand, right? I mean, some people just jump in and get married and they're fine. And then others, it was just a little too fast. They maybe didn't build the trust first,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's when you're making a commitment, when you're in that first blush of a commitment, whether it's for a job or a love or someone new, it's really easy to be committed and stay on track and be committed and do what you say you'll do and all of that. But commitment shows up when you do what you said you'd do long after the first time you said it.
Mm,
So commitment is something that I look at over time. So when someone
mm.
says, they're committed to each other and they've known each other for a week, it's kind of like, oh, isn't that cute?
Puppy love. Yeah, puppy
Yeah,
love. Yeah.
yeah,
We're 16 again.
yeah. But, if 5 years or 5 months or whatever, there's still that same commitment.
Yeah. You have to go past the 6 months. That
Yeah,
was always the breaker for me. I was like, that's it, I'm out. No,
you're boring me.
yeah, oh, exactly. Terrible. And it was always on a holiday. Valentine's Day was a perfect day. It's the
You're going to
dumping
break
ground
up
for
with
these.
someone. Oh, Lisa.
Christmas, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, birthdays, all of it. Easter, just kind of happened. I
So
didn't
I'm
do it on
hearing
purpose.
there's a string of broken hearts across America.
On holidays, yes.
On
You didn't show
holidays.
up in your bunny outfit, I'm out.
Oh no.
I'm
Okay,
just
that might
kidding.
be a
I
breaker
know,
for
I'm
me.
kidding. No, but commitment is a big deal. And the other thing too, and I think of professional relationships right now, when I look at the big exodus that is happening in the workforce, and then everybody's scrambling to get the workforce back and they're making commitments. Are they going to stick with them? How do you trust that you're going to get what, we're going to make you an investor in the company? That's a big deal that's happening now, where people are like, okay, you're part owner of the company, like you get stocks. And that to me is a scary thing. And do not try and pay me in Bitcoin. That's not happening. But it's this whole, I think a lot of commitments got used. People got used, and to return to the workforce, to those same people or to new people, that commitment is very, very important. And I wonder if there's commitments being made that can't actually be followed through with,
Well,
you know?
absolutely sure. I think of one woman that I met, and this was years ago, and she was a VP for a well-known Canadian bank. And she didn't understand why her staff didn't trust her. I mean, she said, I'm the first person there in the morning. I work longer than anybody, and I'm really good at my job. And that was, she couldn't understand, and she said, I keep my word. But what people didn't feel was her commitment to them. They felt that as long as they did their job, they were fine. But if anything fell off the rails, they were gone. So they didn't feel that she had made a commitment to them as individuals.
Oh,
So, like you can kind of understand it, that even in big corporations, it comes down to a commitment level on an individual basis. I trust a boss that I work for that gets to know me on a personal level. And someone who treats me indifferently and walks by and can't remember my name, how committed do I think they are to my advancement, to my welfare? The people that worked for her just felt like they were a cog. Anyone could replace them at any time. And I think that's something that I hope the corporate world is waking up to, that people want to feel like on an individual basis they matter. And if you want to call that love, that the company loves them.
Yeah, and it respects them. Like,
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone is more on the business coaching side, and he said, oh, you want customer service? Well, you better start taking care of your staff. You'll never have good customer service if you're not committed to your staff and your workforce. And I think we're all feeling kind of neglected with every website having a chat bot instead of someone actually there to help you through something, because then you're not feeling the love as a customer or the individual. I remember when I first entered the workforce, the whole thing was under promise, over deliver. That was drummed into my head. And I still think that that's actually true. That has don't over promise something you can't do, because you will lose the commitment. You will lose that trust of your clients, of your colleagues, even in your loved ones, your family, your romantic partner. If you over promise, then you better speak up if you can't deliver, right? What happens at that? Can you keep trust if you can see things are going sour when you really thought you could deliver on something? Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think so. And people will accept, that things screw up, but don't try and cover it up. Don't try and lie about it, and don't try and hide it. I've seen companies do that, where things get off the rail and they think, well, we can't tell the customer because they'll be really upset. Well, guess what? They're a lot more upset if you hide it, and they found out later that you've known for 3 weeks that things weren't working, and you didn't get in touch with them and let them know. There was a leader that was a high trust leader. I think he was CEO of one of the large convention centers in Las Vegas. And he said that if something went wrong, when they were building one of the big convention centers, it was $1 billion build. He said if someone came to him with a problem, and even if they had screwed up, if they came to him and said, here's the problem, here's what happened, he could throw resources at it and get it fixed right away. But if they tried to cover it up, and he found out 3 months later that they knew about the mistake, then it was a completely different conversation. He said, I've made mistakes that cost the company millions of dollars. I don't expect people to go through life without making a mistake, but I expect them to own up to it so it can be fixed.
Yeah. So that's the same thing in relationships. When you talk about commitment, personal relationships, it takes time, right? Commitment takes time because it's a proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
And if you're late for dinner, I remember I was in a relationship with a guy, and I'll be there at this time. Oh, okay, we're gonna have this special dinner, and then hours later, well, he got stuck at a bar. Well, we didn't make. He was a Christmas dump, but anyway, Sorry. I think everybody's heard this on our shows about me dumping people on holidays. But he just, didn't make it. And then he became this weird possessive person to me. Like if I was out with a friend or something and we didn't have a commitment, he's like, well, why are you still out? Because I'm doing things, so it was not a good relationship. But he lost my trust when it's like, okay, we had a commitment. We were going to do this together. And I'm not one of those naggy kind of people. I'm very much everybody do your free thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't expect people home for dinner all the time, but if you make a commitment, I do expect that. And if something is delaying you for an important reason, all you have to do is call. And he didn't. And so at that point, I don't think it's funny when someone comes home at midnight instead of 9 or 10 or whatever time we were supposed to, without a communication. That now then you're out. And that was it. It was like there was no, I don't know, that was it. You're done. You're out. And that's a little bit impatient on my side, but I was right about him. But that told me right there, if you can't do the simplest commitments, you're not going to do the big ones. I can't trust you. And he did screw up later few more times, and it really was over. So the small things, small commitments are just as important to me as the big commitments.
I think in some ways they're more important. Everybody thinks that trust is broken with these huge rifts and, like someone has done something, like had an affair or something. But a lot of times, excuse me, it's a bunch of small things that they just keep building up. So you say like you said, you say you'll be home at 6 and you show up at 12. You say that you're
out, dude, you're out.
Yeah, you'll pick up things from the store and you inconveniently forgot. Like all those little things eventually become the big things. So if you take care of the small things, and I think there's probably a meme out there that says it, if you take care of the small things, the big things take care of themselves.
That's really true. I mean, even if you want to scale the mountain, it starts with, a few steps and a few rocks, not the whole mountain.
Yeah. So, like it's especially in a relationship when you're starting out. I used to just I don't know about you, but when I used to go date someone and the first time they'd show up with a bunch of roses at the door, I was always like,
that's a little much.
Yeah, like, okay, I'll go.
What's your expectations?
Water glass.
Yeah, what's your expectations? Yeah. You know what I mean? There's it's the expectations instead of just let's connect and see, how we are. That's almost like he's already done something wrong.
Well, I don't know if I felt like that. I just felt like it was kind of overkill. I just wanted to have a great conversation and find something in common and be able to laugh and talk. And I think that most people want that kind of connection.
So when it comes to personal relationships and trust for either party, man or woman, doesn't matter, woman and woman, man and man, how do you have the emotional intelligence to gauge trust? Is it something that even in professional relationships that we should look at trust, like in a relationship, not just go in that emotional where you're getting pissed off or completely gaga, because that's the other side. There's the emotional stage of he's everything. Oh my gosh, he's perfect, and
did you see his blue eyes?
Oh, stop it. And they won't stop talking to their friends. That's all they talk about. And then one day it's like, oh, so there's the emotional stage that is biological. And, that's our normal state because nature wants us to mate and have babies. It's just the way we're built. But there's the emotional intelligence. So should people kind of sit and have a communication with themselves, maybe journal, really look at the person that they're thinking that they're getting more serious about? How would you say approach that so that you're honest? Because especially women, I think we like to, or no, I'm going to say men too. We kind of like cover up the red flags, and red flags are red flags.
Yeah, I think you should look at things. I think you were spot on when you said you look at the 5 C's. So do they care about you? Not just
Mm.
as a pretty face or whatever ideal.
I'm not
that
just a
you show
pretty
up.
face.
Yeah,
I had to say that for Nancy. No, because okay, no, can I back up on that just for a
yeah.
funny thing? Okay, so and Nancy will be here next time, everyone. She's her head is in the computer, literally. Um, she's in Madam Geek mode, and when she's in there, you do not tap on her shoulder. But once we had a friend who was a musician. He's still a musician, and he was the hottest thing in town. And the girls would just fawn over him and everything. And of course, now we all thought that was funny. And one night, Nancy got him a pair of big, big panties, like, the really big panties, and wrote in the crotch area, "I'm not just a pretty face." Anyway, so she threw them at him because they were, the whole Tom Jones thing where women were throwing panties. Well, the crotch landed on the microphone with a just a pretty more than a pretty face. I'm sorry. So anyway, going back to the caring and not just pretty face, I'm sorry to inject a really naughty story there, but anyway, it's funny.
It is very funny. It is very funny. And I can absolutely see
We
Nancy.
never get through any of these conversations without some kind of something derailing. But anyway, I had to do a Nancy derail since she's not here. But yeah, that was pretty funny though.
Yeah.
More than a pretty
So,
face.
how does their caring show up for you other than, the granny
You've got a
panties?
nice shirt on, or yeah,
Yeah.
the big panties. Put your big panties on.
Caring can show up that they put their phone away and they look at you while they're talking.
Oh, so in other words, two people on a date not texting each other?
We were at a really nice restaurant. This was years ago, and you know me well enough to know that I would do this. So we're sitting, enjoying our meal, and next to us are this young couple, obviously on one of their first dates. And she was pretty, she had dressed up because it was a really nice restaurant. And he was on his phone texting. And I could see her sitting there and I could feel her getting sadder.
Oh,
So I got up and said to him, "Dude,
yeah.
you've got this beautiful woman sitting across from you that you could be talking to, and instead you're on your phone. Put your phone away and talk to her."
Yeah, really.
And he looked at me
Like, how
and he
dare
said, "Well,
you?
like, I'm just like, I want to take some pictures of the meal. It's really good." I said, "Enjoy the meal. Enjoy the person you're with. Put your phone away." And I thought, wow, everybody does that at a meal now. And she looked at me and she went, "Thank you."
Mm.
Now, I can't see that he got another date. I
Yeah.
would be surprised if he did. But caring shows up by just paying attention. Now, it's okay because I like taking foodie pictures of a really good meal as well, but I don't spend the whole meal on my phone. And
Exactly.
caring can show up by listening, and caring can show up by just doing some of the small things that we do. That when you are with somebody, if you can feel that there isn't something right, just saying, "Are you okay?" Or,
Mhm.
if they're really excited, sharing in their joy. Some of the things that were harder to deal with success,
Mm.
not everybody's happy when you're successful.
It's really true. That's really true.
So, caring can be if someone has done something, calling them and saying, "Wow, you got that award. That's great. You must feel great about it." So those are some things that you can do around caring to
Mm.
show, and that helps to build love.
Is another C champagne?
It could be. I definitely think it should be.
Because when we started our new radio show on Spotify, you emailed Nancy and said, "Where do I send the champagne?" And I'm
Yeah,
like, I told Nancy, I'm like, well, she doesn't send it anywhere. We just go see her, But
absolutely.
but that's the thing. It's like, but it shouldn't be. There's people that that there's guys that always open doors, but it's got to be genuine, not just
Yeah,
routine. And I think routine is fine because that's the good thing, but it shouldn't be the "look what I did. I opened the door. Look at me." You know what I mean? So the
yeah,
caring part, like you're talking about, should be something that actually really is genuine.
yeah. And then, like you had said, commitment is a big one.
Oh,
Commitment,
yes.
doing what you said you do long after the time you originally said it. So being, once you've made a commitment, if you say to someone, I'll show up at this time and I'll be there for you, and the first time they're in a difficulty, you bail, well, that's not a commitment. If someone is going through a rough time, sometimes you don't need to do anything, you just need to be there. So that's commitment. And that's part of building love, like you're not always going to show up looking like putting your lipstick on. I was sick last week and I was walking Booker and I thought, wow, I didn't realize I had these old sweats, but boy, am I glad I have them, because that's exactly what I feel like wearing right now. So,
Yeah. Well, that's part of caring too, and people that's honesty. And in a relationship, to me, if you can't wear your sweats, then it's like, and you can't be human as a woman or a man, and you always have to be perfectly dressed, then that's not gonna, that's where to me, that's one of those things where you start to trust each other. And that's where caring comes in, where you can be who you are. Like, don't be fake about what music you like. If you don't like something, that's perfectly okay. Just because he may like country doesn't mean you have to like country music. But you can try, and you've got to be accommodating though, right? So that's part of caring.
I've seen people who feel like they have to change for the other person. So they think that making a commitment means that they have to agree and like everything the other person does. Like I have no desire. Rick loves watching soccer. And as soon as the games are on, he with a last name like Brovedani, it's Italian. And so he was raised with a dad who always watched the soccer finals. So Rick can always find a channel in another language usually and watch the soccer. Well, I'm not going to sit next to him and just go, well, I'm committed to you, so I'm going to like what you like. Well, there's no way. I just go, okay, have fun, hon. I'm off and doing something else.
Exactly. So that's where that's a trust thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember in high school, a friend of mine, she got mad because her boyfriend would always go do this other sport thing. And then she's like, I wonder if he's really doing that. And I'm like, well, if you don't think he's doing that, then you've already got a problem.
Yeah.
If he's doing a sport, but she wanted him there all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be with someone. Nobody. The only person I want to be with all the time is myself, but even that's annoying. So you know what I mean?
Me too.
Got to have a break, so you've got to each be your own person. And that's where that trust and commitment is like, okay, I know he's going off to play sports or whatever, and he'll come back and we're going to see each other. And to me, that's cool, because even if you're not interested in the sports, did you enjoy it? Did your team win? Not whatever, you can still have a conversation and learn from each other if you're doing different things.
And I don't think you should try and change each other,
No.
And I've seen that too.
Women are good at that.
People as projects.
Oh yeah, no. Oh my God, you're gonna not be a happy person. No one's gonna be. No, I did that. I did that once. Yep. I thought, oh, he's really nice, but hopefully, no. Resentment will come very quickly.
Yeah. So we've got caring, commitment, consistency.
Ooh.
They do what they say they'll do. They're consistent with, they're consistent in how they act. They're not beasts one moment and like really sweet and kind the next. If there's that kind of variation. When I was in HR, I used to see that as an indication that if someone's work was really great one day and it was in the skids the next, then I would look to see if they perhaps, I'd start opening my eyes to see if there was an addictions issue or a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was one or the other. So it was a good indicator. So if you see that in a person, I think that has to be something very discretionary. I know a lot of couples who have gone through one of the partners having an addiction and getting through it, and they are stronger than ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is possible, but that's up to you whether or not you want to make that commitment to that person.
Yeah.
And that's a very difficult road, but it can be done. I know that it's definitely, but the other person, you both have to make a commitment,
Yeah. So
right? So that's a really true thing about
we've got
commitment and
caring,
stay consistent. Yeah.
commitment, consistency, and then competence.
Oh, here we go.
You know, can they do what they say they're going to do? Do they actually have the skill? I can remember people saying, you know, and I always had this thing where I always felt people were better or smarter than I was, and someone would say, oh no, I can do that. Like I would be doing something and thinking, well, that looks pretty good. And then someone would tell me that they had these great skills, and then I would look at what they did and I'd go, oh no, no, they're not competent. And they have this ego that inflates their abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And
We
you
know a lot
some
of people like
people
that.
call that confidence, but that's not what confidence is. Confidence is knowing what you're capable of and being secure in yourself. It's not over evaluating your skills. It's not being narcissistic.
It's trusting yourself to,
Yeah.
go through things. It's like, okay, come rain or come shine, I know I can make this happen. It may not be perfect, but I'm going for it because I trust myself to do the absolute best I can.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't take somebody in a rowboat because I know the possibility of drowning and going in circles for 10 years is a reality.
This is it from experience, Lisa?
Yes.
There's a story there. I know there's a story.
There's a few stories. Anytime it's a water vessel and I've got any kind of paddle, we're going in a circle and we could die out there. So like I would never take, someone on a romantic cruise with me paddling. He has to do it. And you know what I mean? So I would never have faith in me getting through that because I
just heard
know.
this really sweet story. I took my two grandnephews out. It was my nephew and my niece's two boys that are the same age, and they're really good friends. And we went, this is in Alberta, we went to a little park called Bowness Park, and I rented a canoe, and the boys
Say that park name again.
Bowness.
Okay.
Bowness Park. There's a town named Bowness too. So it's actually, so many of the towns in Canada are named after towns in England. So there's a Bowness in England as well. Anyways, we got in, and these two boys, I think, were maybe 11 or 12 years old. And they said, Auntie just said, we're going to do all the rowing. Now, I'm actually pretty good in a canoe, but it was part of my love where I just went, that's great, boys. And then just sat as we kind of stayed in the same position for a while they figured out how to get their paddles working. But eventually we were able to do a bit of a loop, and they did end up figuring out how to row the boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it was so sweet that, they were.
But that's the thing. Oh, and that's something too, is allow someone to fail in a relationship. Allow them to fall down. Like if I said to someone, okay, there's no way I'm going to, I know. And right now I'm looking out at the water and all these boats going, it would be a dangerous thing. And if someone said, well, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to help you and you'll get through this. You have to, it's like teaching someone to drive. That's all that could break a relationship quite easily. But someone going, okay, we're going to trust in each other to get through this and at least take one step. And it's possible if you go in with the right headspace and commitment to making that happen, right?
Yeah. And I did, my dad took me out to teach me to drive. And after 2 lessons, I said, Dad, I'm saving my money and hiring an instructor.
Yeah.
Because I could only stand being yelled at so much.
Well, the driving thing is that's tenacious, man. That's a seriously, no, that's volatile.
Yeah.
That's hard. But so consistency, we've got commitment, caring, commitment, consistency, competence.
And the last one is communication.
So just like I said, the communication before you go out in the water.
Yeah, communication, being able to actually tell a person what you love about them, and also not what you
Ooh.
dislike about them, but your reaction to some of the things, so it's like, instead of saying, I hate it when you do this, it's like, when you,
Mm.
and then the action, I feel, and how you're feeling about it, and then would it be possible to do this? So instead of making a person feel like they're guilty, just say, like, when you don't show up, I
Mhm.
feel unimportant to you.
Mm.
Would you give me a call if you're going to be late?
That didn't work in that relationship, but I tried. But that's how you know, right? That's the thing. And if someone says, "Oh man, I'm really, really sorry. I really, whatever reason," and then they do the next time, then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we've got something to build on. That's the building blocks of trust, right?
Yeah. Or they say, get over it. I'm not your
Yeah.
Patsy. I'm not gonna jump when you call. It's like, okay, then that gives
Yeah.
you really valuable information. So
Mhm.
in a relationship, what doesn't work gives you as much information as what does work.
Mhm. And I remember Oprah saying this, and she's become famous for saying, when somebody tells you about themselves, listen,
Yeah.
because most of the time they're really telling you the truth. Like, can I
Yeah.
tell you, I'm going to take you out rowing and we're going to go in circles for 3 hours? You can expect that.
So if we go on a boat, you wear the life jacket and let me row, because I'm actually pretty good at it.
Okay, cool. And you and Nancy can row. She's fine
Okay,
with
so
it.
Nancy and I can do it.
Yeah, she told me what to do, and I decided not to listen to her. And there you go. See, bad communication on my part. She communicated, this is what you need to do. Oh, like you know more than me. Oh, see,
Yeah.
don't do
So
that
it
to the
wasn't,
mother.
you just weren't listening.
I was being a butthead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
It's always good when we recognize our butt-headedness.
yes. Well, I didn't throw the panties. I'm sorry.
See how it circles back. It always circles back.
Yes, you never know. You never know. But tell everybody your quote. You did this on our Spotify show, the Big Daily Blend. So tell us your quote about trust in relationships.
If you have to choose between trust and love, always choose trust. Love can ebb and flow, but if you've built a solid foundation of trust, the love can regrow and build again.
Isn't she a poet? And she knows it. She's the trust architect. She knows what she's doing, and she's here every third Thursday. Lea Brovedani, everybody. Keep up with her at thetrustarchitect.biz. You can also listen to her interviews with us and read her articles if you go to blendradioandtv.com. And when it comes to commitment and trust, she is also a soul journey doula. That's so go to souljourneydoula.com. I can tell everybody that, right? We talked about it on the last show.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. I love it.
it's not death doula, but it's a,
Well, it is, like there's the term death doula, which just kind of gives me the creeps
yeah,
because
that's
I
too
love to laugh and
finality.
I think, do I have to go around like looking like
Dr.
Wendy?
Death.
Yeah,
Dr.
like that's not me, but it's end of life doula, and it's bringing comfort to and giving people the best possible exit to their lives and bringing comfort to the people who are left behind.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lea. It's always a pleasure.
And with you. Thanks, Lisa.